Okay, so let's do a walkthrough of how I create a model in Fusion that I'm going to print in a few colors, face down. It's all flat like a coaster or a sign or whatever, and you want it to be all planar. First thing to do is to make, let's see, just some kind of generic sketch. That'll be the main portion of it. I'll make it 100 by 50 maybe. That's good enough. We'll extrude that out a little bit. And we'll throw an appearance on there. Oop, not that one. We'll throw an appearance on there just so it doesn't look like that weird clear color. Okay. So now we're going to put some lettering or the other colored thing that you want to put in there, logo, whatever you want to do. So we'll create a sketch. This is going to be where we're going to print face down. And for this, I'm going to use an SVG. I was making some Festool accessories a little while ago, so I'll just use this. Move that somewhere close to the center. Hit OK, finish sketch. So now what we're going to do is extrude these negatively, I guess, or into the part. And that amount is going to be how much of the coloring you want, right? So if you're going to do like a normal 0.2 millimeter slice height and you want to keep it like an even number, you'd put, I don't know, 1.2 millimeters. So you're going to have 6 layers of your colored text, right? But we're going into the part, so it's minus 1.6. This always likes to default to cut, but we're going to make it a new body. So now you have a rectangle that's still there, and then you have all these letters that are captive inside the rectangle. What we're going to do is a combine using the main rectangle as the target, and then the letters as the tool bodies. And we're going to make it a cut and keep the tool bodies. So now if we throw an appearance on here so it doesn't look weird and clear, you can see you have, your main rectangle, and then you have your letters. When you hide those, you have your indented letters. So now we're going to export this. I like to export it as a step file because Bambu will read that, so why not use the better technology, right? We'll export it, we'll overwrite it. Now we'll go into Bambu. We will add that step file. Comes in face up, you can kind of see the geometry there. So we're going to flip that face down. Now what we're going to do is, instead of painting it or anything like that, we're going to split to parts. What that does is it makes, I guess, all of the different bodies show up independently and makes them selectable. So what we can do is pick the things that you want to change the color of, right click, set filament for selected items, and then choose your color, or I guess choose your filament. So now these are all independent objects from the main global thing. And I like doing it this way because you can control, different surface patterns. If you wanted these to be concentric rather than the global setting of, monotonic or monotonic line or whatever, you can set that in there. And they're going to come out, I think, a lot nicer when you get into the smaller text. And yeah, so that's pretty much it. You can see that that's going to be concentric until it starts to turn into fill, which you can make solid by just changing this bottom shell layers to as many layers, I think 1.2 millimeters, so 6 layers of bottom shell layers. And now when you reslice it, instead of being sparse infill, it's the solid infill here up until you get to that last layer. Why does that last layer look sparse? What happens if we make it 7? Oh, maybe I did 1.6? Did I do 1.6? Now I'm curious. Let's go back. I did do 1.6. Okay, so it's 8 layers, not 6 layers. But yeah, so now you can change all that stuff in here and reslice it and whatnot. And you can mess with, you know, a bunch of different settings on here, single wall, blah, 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 stuff like that. Yeah. But so that's how I choose to do all my, you know, independent coloring entities and whatnot, rather than just painting. I know you can paint things, and like if I would have just recessed this, I don't know, a millimeter, or I'm sorry, like 0.001 millimeters or 0.002, whatever, in the model, and just had like little tiny pockets in there, I could come in and paint this. But the thing about that is you can't control the depth of the color unless you change the global bottom shell layers. So if you want, you know, 1.6 millimeters of, you know, green, solid green, you have to make all of the shell layers 8. And so that's going to make your gray and your green solid all the way through those 8 layers, which, I mean, I don't know if it really matters, you know, when you're dealing with small stuff, right? But anyways, yeah, this is how I do it, and hopefully this helps.